Hi, I'm going to go over 3 ways that you can use ClioVis as an educator to help your students learn more effectively. So before we jump in, I'm going to go over what each of the 3 ways are. So to start, the first way is to create complex chronologies or timelines. And the second way is going to be break down the events or concepts of a book. And the third way is going to be create an outline for an essay. All right, so let's jump in. So the first way is probably how you'd imagine ClioVis being used, and that's taking an event in history and breaking it down into a complex set of events on a timeline. So this was a group project I made in Dr. Erica Basumik's Building America class, where we looked at the role of caissons in the Brooklyn Bridge and building it. And we looked at the Roeblings and a number of other themes in history like labor rights and women's rights, and we broke them into categories up here. And yeah, and one feature that we also used was the audio feature, where we recorded ourselves talking about the event. So it really showed how much we got to know about that event in history. And we incorporated that into the timeline. And then, of course, the key feature of ClioVis is creating connections. So we're able to connect all these events together. All right, moving on to the second way that you could use ClioVis, and that's to break down different events or concepts in a book. So this is also a history example, but you can imagine this being used in a literature class and breaking down events in a book and tying them together, or creating larger themes using the eras feature, which the eras feature, if you look right here, kind of blocks out in color something that happens on the timeline. Um, but yeah, so this is a timeline I made based on a book called The History of the Grandparents I Never Had. And it takes, key themes in the book and plots them onto a timeline and then makes them talk with each other through me writing connections. So one key theme was Jewish refugees fleeing to France, and I wrote about them and then was able to connect that to the main character in the book and write about it. And then you could move things into categories again. So it really helped me break down the information that was going on and better understand it. All right, the third way that you could use it, and this is another class that I used it in, um, is analyzing primary documents and putting them in communication with secondary sources. And then you can export that and have students make that into a paper, which is what my professor did. So for example, this is me looking at a primary document, writing about it, its identifying it, explaining it, looking at significance. This was in Professor Jesse Rittner's class and at UT Austin. And then I was able to put that in communication with secondary sources and then go to export, download it as a Google Doc or as a Word doc. And then from there, it creates a file, and I can delete out some of this data here and put it into a format of an essay. All right, those were 3 ways that you can use ClioVis as an educator. There are many more ways you can do, and this was just a short overview. So if you have any more questions or are curious about the other capabilities of ClioVis, please reach out to us or go to the ClioVis website or YouTube channel. Thank you.